Hello and welcome to this video. As I paint away in the studio, I wanted to talk through some ideas I've been having on the topic of motivation and energy. In this video, I'll be exploring how I've been balancing a variety of projects, making space for play, listening to myself a bit more, finding energy through different mediums, understanding creative cycles, reconstructing my studio practice, and connecting and building community. So stay tuned if you'd like to know more about any of these points. Motivation and energy is a really big topic, and I want to start off with saying I certainly haven't got it all figured out. But today I wanted to share a few things I've been thinking about, exploring and practicing to help up my energy levels when the days get shorter and darker. As always, I am so keen to hear what's working for other people, so if you have a habit or a process that helps your motivation or energy, feel free to share it in the comments below. My name is Orla and I love to create abstract artwork, sharing my love for nature, the outdoors and creativity through these videos. I practice as a full-time painter / illustrator / designer / teacher, and through everything, I'm looking to bring a sense of playfulness, positivity and expressive freedom to everything that I do. To kick things off, I'd like to share what I'm up to in the studio today, that you'll see me working on away in the background of this video. If you've been following my work for a wee while here on YouTube, you might have watched my alphabetical series of paintings. This was a 26-part series of works on paper to find consistencies in my practice. So many ideas were generated from these works, and if you'd like to check out the full collection of paintings, I'll pop a link down below. In that series, I talked a lot about the structure behind my practice, the routine and the thought process too. It was a very directed project with a deadline and constraints on materials, subject matter and more. I've got to say I totally love this way of working. It really helped me to think through making and find focus. However, it was a lot of concentrated energy and left my creative batteries a little tired afterwards. Before I take any ideas from these paintings and explore them in new, larger scale pieces in a more direct way, I've been making time for what I like to call freedom painting sessions. This is quite simply where I just go a bit mental and paint whatever I like, for no reason, with no pressure or purpose or deadline. It's all about painting whatever I feel I need more of in my life, and letting the feelings out through colours, marks and textures. It's always a bit of a riot and it is so much fun. On the theme of painting what I need myself, that has looked like lots and lots of colour. In these sessions, I like to paint places that I'd like to be, something I'd like to have or feel, creating the energy that I'm lacking in the pictures so that I can get energy from it in real life. Sounds kinda silly when I say it out loud, but that's what I've been up to. Today, what I really needed was time to play. I took time over a coffee to check in and see what things were surfacing. I found that writing at the start of my studio sessions to be really helpful. It's part journaling, part creative direction. Having this check-in of how I'm feeling and what I'm needing is always a great way for me to figure out what the painting should be doing. I think so often my lack of motivation comes from a lack of direction or confusion. So steps towards figuring those things out always helps to get that ball rolling. If I could do anything today, what would it be? I love giving myself time to go off the bandwagon and make something outside of my usual wheelhouse. Today, this looked like exploring pattern, textures, and emotions through colour. I also wanted to play with some motifs from my past series in a low-pressure way, just to see what happens. I took a minute to write out what I didn't want as well. This can be especially helpful if you find yourself falling into those habitual ways of working that don't serve you anymore. I didn't want to reference a specific landscape, and I didn't want to make a big body of work or come up with loads of different ideas and start a new project. I decided what I needed was some brightness, something light, not serious at all, something fun, low pressure, and to focus on the process. So feeling over thinking. On that note, 2 questions I've been asking myself is simply, why am I feeling low in motivation or in energy? I think it's worth differentiating when you are feeling exhausted, which I would argue is different to being low on creative beans. The two are definitely tied together, as it's hard to be creative when we're knackered. I think really what I've been feeling is lower in creative energy because I'm tired, with lots of other things going on, over feeling creatively stuck. I always find it helpful to try and figure out the root cause of what I'm feeling, and to tend to that first, rather than the symptom itself. It can be a relief to realise that actually, life is just a lot right now, and to take the personal pressure and expectation off a little. Sometimes I find creative energy in shifting up the medium. I think creativity is found in everyone and everything we do, to different extents. Taking time to do other activities, see people, move, try new hobbies, nearly always gives me some motivation and makes me want to get back to the studio. Sometimes having an art holiday and gathering energy and inspiration from walking or cooking or playing with pets is exactly what we need, and I think is all a part of painting in a broad way. Part of this is changing the types of energy up. For instance, I've started longboarding, which is a totally different experience to painting. For a start, it moves my body, it's outside, I'm really bad at it, and it's more adrenaline based. Having that contrast in the week helps keep things moving for me and gets me out of that deeper, reflective and sometimes serious headspace that I can get into with my painting. Another thing I've been thinking about and learning about myself has been creative cycles. I think there's a bit of a myth that to be an artist, in any capacity, you have to paint for like 8 hours a day, every day. And that has just never been the way I work. And it took me a long time to accept my own creative cycles and to embrace the way that I work best. That's going to be different for every person in different periods of our lives too. Focused output and creation is only one stage in the cycle. I've got rest, which can also be play. I've got research, oftentimes reading, writing, walking, adventuring, working outside. There's time splurging out tons of ideas and going wild. There's refining the works and reflecting too. I've come to realise that it's not linear. Some cycles will have 5 or more research periods, and others will have none. Sometimes rest comes after every step, and there are times when the work pours out and I only rest when I'm done. When it comes to motivation and energy, I think figuring out my own creative cycle and checking in to see where I am at in that is one of the most empowering and essential things I've done to look after myself and manage, create and tap into the creative energy well. I've been playing with restructuring my studio days to try and make the most out of the daylight. For this video, I filmed and painted over 2 studio sessions. I always work best in 2-hour stints, and these days prefer to paint into the late mornings. I've moved all of my digital or admin work to the early mornings and late afternoons. With the lack of daylight, I'm normally cut off from painting after around 2 hours anyway, so in a way the restricted time has been a motivator of sorts. In the summer months I definitely paint more, and will have maybe 2 2-hour painting sessions in the day. Part of it has been accepting that I will simply be painting a little bit less in the winter right now. Only having these short painting windows means I've either had to take the opportunity when I may not be feeling the most creative, or it doesn't happen at all. And I've been learning a lot about that in itself. The question of painting through the lack of incentive or motivation, I think, is on a case-by-case basis, and it depends on so many different factors. For me, I've been trying to practice doing this so that I can strengthen that muscle, but I'm still working through it and seeing if I like it or not, and whether it's something that I want to include in my practice in the long run. Over the last few months, I've been making an effort to connect with more creative people, both online and in person. Working for myself for the last 5 years or so, things can get a little insular or isolating, and I've been trying to find ways to connect with other creative people, both on a professional setting and a personal. I've recently been on some coffees and meetups with other artists and illustrators, and I can't tell you how rewarding and nourishing that has been. There are so many questions around the background work that goes into making work as a freelancer, and starting to find other people with similar experiences has been really supportive. That has been really energising to connect in person and feel like you're in the same boat as others and not sailing out to sea on your own. Another way I've been connecting has been through YouTube and Patreon. Sharing here has been a beautiful start to meeting lots of like-minded people, being inspired by all sorts of approaches and backgrounds and ideas, which has been filling me with energy over the last few months. We just had our first online meetup through Patreon, and it was absolutely lovely. Thank you to everyone who's joined me on that first call. Being able to bounce ideas around and listen to other people's projects in itself is very energising for me, and I'm looking forward to our next meetup already, and seeing how this space develops over time. I also wanted to take a quick second to say that my first colour tutorial is now live on Patreon. This is one of my favourite subjects, so much so that the following month tutorial will also be about colour, as there is just so much to cover. When I can't get to meet people myself, online or in person, I've been turning to podcasts and other YouTubers' videos. I'm a total podcast fiend, and when I'm feeling like company, having podcasts run by other artists has felt like a real support. I'm planning on doing a post on my Substack soon to share a log of all the creators who I love and have learned a lot from, so stay tuned for that. Something I'd like to look into more is some natural daylight lamps, so that I can paint into the evenings, or let's be real, at least past 3 p.m, if I need or I want to. If you have a lighting setup that works for you, I really would love to know more about it, so if you can let me know in the comments something that you've been using or researching, that would be amazing. I want to say a really big thank you to all of my lovely Patreon supporters. Your support and enthusiasm and generosity helped to make this channel possible. I think that's probably a wrap for this week's video. Like I mentioned before, if you have something that you've been practicing or exploring or would like to tackle in relation to this topic, let me know down in the comments below. I hope you have a great creative rest of the week ahead of you, and I will see you sometime outside.